Well, hello everyone and welcome to my kitchen table. Now, as you can see, I'm not quite at my kitchen table. In fact, I'm in Melbourne in Australia and I'm in Dutton Garage in Richmond. What a place this is. It really is. If you're ever in Melbourne and you want to come somewhere and see some of the most magnificent cars you will find anywhere. There's what behind me here. We've got a Diablo behind me. There's an F50 behind me. There's an XK220 just down there. There are some magnificent cars here. A Porsche Spider just across there somewhere. Really is a great place to come. Not only can you see in these wonderful surroundings, it is a beautiful building. You can see some of the best road cars ever. You also get a lovely cup of coffee. You can have something to eat. It is the perfect pit stop on any trip to Melbourne. Now, the other reason I'm here is that Dutton Garage are very heavily involved in Targa, and as you know, I've been involved in the Targa series this year, Targa Tasmania, Targa Great Barrier Reef up in Cairns, and most recently we had Targa High Country in Mount Buller, and well, incredibly, we had snow. We had probably 20 centimetres of snow up there, but it was still a wonderful event, still an awful lot of fun, still the most remarkable array of cars on display there. Some of the finest roads anywhere, some of the best competition, certainly in terms of tarmac, that you'll find in the Southern Hemisphere. It was a wonderful event and I am very much looking forward to seeing the highlights, which should be available hopefully in the next few weeks. As soon as they're available, I will let you know where you can see them. But in terms of WRC, well, it's been quite a tumultuous week, hasn't it? Really, it's been a tumultuous couple of weeks. Started off with Tänak making his move, as we all expected. Tänak off to, as we all expected. No, we didn't. I don't think anyone expected it. I certainly didn't expect it. Where were we? We were in Spain, weren't we, on the Friday afternoon, where David Evans wrote that remarkable story, basically saying it's a done deal. He's off to Hyundai. You know, the rumours abounded in the service park before that. A lot of people talked about the fact that, oh, we might go to Hyundai. Nah, it's not going to happen, is it? You'll stay at Toyota, fastest car, best finance team, backing of the president of the company, no less. But my goodness me, it did happen. It did happen. He went for various reasons. Now, there's been an article written this week quoting people very, very close to the Tänak camp, and it's a truly remarkable article, and I read it with my mouth open. What you have to remember with these articles is that unless you're a native Estonian speaker, you're reading a translation, nuances are lost in translation. The finery and sometimes the meaning can be lost in translation. I'm not saying it is in that article. I firmly believe that most of what's been written there is probably correct. But does it shed light, or does it just open a door on what went on with Tänak and Toyota? Because you read that article and it wasn't a particularly happy final year there. I don't know. Listen, there are always two sides to a story, and what you have to remember is that Tommi Mäkinen at Toyota has achieved remarkable success. Remarkable success. They're in the third year, don't forget. They have the fastest car, perhaps not the most reliable car, but no question the fastest car. They have 2 world titles under their belts. They now have the services of a 6 times World Rally Champion. Now, I'm saying this on Wednesday morning, European time. It's now Wednesday evening here in Australia. The announcement, the official announcement hasn't come yet, but I suspect it will come. You know, Mäkinen has, well, he's pulled out the flames here, hasn't he? Because when Tänak left, you were left scratching your head, saying, what are Toyota going to do? It looked, on the face of it, like a crisis. It really did. Because, you know, to deliver so much in the first 3 years, to deliver world titles in the first 3 years, to deliver a car that's capable of winning, to deliver many rally wins, and then to go to a situation where on the face of it, next year was going to be a struggle. A struggle to the point where I think, had they not secured Ogier's services, they wouldn't have won rallies. I don't think they'd have won any rallies next year. Big statement to make, but I don't think they would have. They've turned that all around, haven't they? They've turned that all around by remarkably securing Ogier's services. Have they secured Ogier's services because Citroen left? Did Citroen leave because Ogier had said, I'm going to Toyota? I don't know. I really don't know. But what has happened is Toyota have now got themselves a super team to almost match, not quite a long way off, matching the stratospheric team that Hyundai have put together. Hyundai have put together the most incredible team. 2 out of the 3 fastest, most reliable drivers in the world. The most reliable, the fastest in Tänak. And you've got Neuville there, who is ultra reliable these days, and ultra fast, and still ultra competitive. And then to back them up, you've got Sordo in the best form of his life. You've got Loeb, still capable of not maybe using the speed. The speed has gone a fraction. That's to be understood, that's to be accepted, particularly after being away for so long and only coming back every now and again. But what he's lost in speed, he makes up for in terms of guile and intelligence and experience and ability. And it is just the most unbelievable team he's put together. So the Toyota response to that looks like it's Sébastien Ogier. But for Ogier to win drivers' titles, for Toyota to win a manufacturer's title, it needs to be a team. It can't be an individual, and we saw that at Citroen this year. You can't operate in isolation as a driver to win a driver's title. It doesn't work. You need your wingmen. And the great news, the really great news, is that Ogier and Evans has got the big move that he's worked so hard for. He has, we understand, and it'll be confirmed probably by the time you see this, a 2-year deal with Toyota. Fantastic. You've got 2 drivers there. You've got Ogier and you've got Evans, who have worked together before, who have delivered success before, who will deliver success this year. What kind of success? Well, it's got to be a title, hasn't it? You'd have thought. Driver's title, manufacturer's title. It's going to be difficult, for sure. Perhaps even more difficult than it was in the M Sport days. But a title is a real possibility. But here is the thing for me. The manufacturers, as we know, enormously important to the full teams. Can you deliver a manufacturer's title with 2 drivers? I don't think so. I don't think so. Now, you're going to start jumping up and down and saying, the boy's lost his marbles. Toyota have got 3 drivers. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And they have the freak that is Kalle Rovanperä. And I use the word freak in the nicest of ways because he is unique. His pace, his ability, his ability to learn at an accelerated rate is all just freakish. Freakish in his ability. But, big question for me is, can he, as a 3rd driver this year, deliver the goods that Toyota need to go on and win the manufacturer's title? I don't think so. I don't think it's fair on him, and I don't think it's fair on his teammates. I think he needs a bit of room. I think he needs a bit of time to be allowed to find the limits, to develop, to crash, to make mistakes, to push it a little bit wide in places, to go in a little bit too deep in other places. He needs to have the freedom to learn that car at that speed and the disciplines required to maintain the speed in those cars. How does he do that? Not as a 3rd driver, with the pressure of scoring manufacturer points. What I would like to see, I don't know whether it's going to happen, I doubt whether it'll happen, but what I would like to see is a Latvala or a Meek in that 3rd car at the start of the year. 4 or 5 rallies, maybe 6 rallies. Just to give young Rovanperä that opportunity to make those mistakes. I would then have Rovanperä from the halfway point, probably from Rally Finland, chuck him in the World Rally car as your 3rd driver, and the other driver who has been the supporting driver, well, sadly that's it. They move aside for the younger talent. I think 4 drivers at Toyota makes a lot of sense to me, particularly at the start of the year. Give Rovanperä the full season. Don't put the pressure on him of needing to score manufacturer points or potentially needing to score manufacturer points should something happen to the charging Ogier, the charging Evans up front. I think it'll hold back his development, and I think what we'll see here is development on a different scale, where it's taken other drivers a year, 18 months, 2 years to get up to speed in the World Rally cars. How many years did it take Tänak till he won that first event in, where was he? He was in Sardinia when he won his first event. What was that, his 4th season? On and off, something like that. Ogier was a bit of an exception, didn't take him too long, but it has taken other drivers. Neuville, it took him quite some time to win his first event in a World Rally car. We won't be waiting that long for young Rovanperä to win, but does he need, go away, fly, we're in Australia, flies everywhere. That's the first one I've seen in here, by the way. Does Rovanperä need that expression? No, he doesn't. Do Toyota have the resources to run a fourth car? Of course they do. Do they have the desire to give away a manufacturer's title? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I think that's potentially the situation they might find themselves in should they run Rovanperä as a third car. But listen, here is the thing. Here is the thing. Disagree all you like with Tommi Mäkinen, and a lot of people do. Disagree all you like with the way he goes about things. Some of the things he says, some of the things he does. But what you cannot disagree with is the remarkable level of success that he and that team have achieved. He does things differently. And you know what? Quite often differently is right. Turns out to be right. So we're not here to argue with Tommi. Tommi is the man who will know what needs to be done, and he will know in his way the best way to go about it. Let's wait and see what happens. As I say, by the time you see this, the announcement's probably been made. It may include a Chris Meek, it may not include a Jari-Matti Latvala, it may include a Latvala, it may not include Meek. I don't know. Might include someone else. Might include a Hayden Paddon, a Craig Breen, Andreas Mikkelsen. Who knows? We just don't until that announcement's made. And even then, even when the announcement is made, if things don't go well for the first 2 or 3 rallies, you've got all these remarkably competent drivers waiting on the sidelines, ready just to parachute in and to help out should Toyota need it. Really is a fascinating time ahead. What we haven't talked about is the reason why Toyota have gone from being, I think, in crisis to actually being in a position where once again they can realistically work towards winning a driver's and a manufacturer's title. That is because of the demise of Citroen Racing. Sad day, sad day for Citroen. You know what? We can get all arsey, I suppose. That's not a good word, but we can get arsey at the kind of the wording of the statement that came out from Citroen. It was very terse, it was very curt, it was very to the point, it was actually quite rude. But they have history with that. We saw that with the Chris Meek announcement when he was sacked. The one thing that we can't say is that that statement was lost in translation, because it wasn't, because there are plenty of native English speakers within that company. Ms. Jackson, the lady who runs Citroen, or DS, which I can't remember which one she's in charge of, she's English. So certainly to say, well, it was lost in translation, no. Should we be getting annoyed about it? No. You know, what are words on a statement? They are, to be honest with you, nothing and very little. It is the consequence that we need to discuss. And the consequence is no Citroen Racing in 2020. No seat for Esa-Pekka Lappi in 2020. Is it a crisis? Well, it's a crisis for Citroen, because Citroen have failed. Citroen have failed. You know, you can look at their reasons for pulling out, you can look at stated reasons, you can look at implied reasons. The main reason that they have pulled out is that the car just wasn't working. More than the fact that it wasn't working, it wasn't fixable. They are very temperamental beasts, these new World Rally cars. That car, I suspect, was designed wrongly. There were too many fundamental flaws. And, you know, they managed to fix suspension parts. They managed to fix, you know, the suspension. When the suspension was fixed, that had a knock-on effect on something else, on the geometry, on the turning. You know, when they fixed that, there was too much torque to the rear. There was differential problems. You know, you basically had to start that whole thing again, and they clearly weren't prepared to do that. And that is why, more than anything, that is why they pulled out. The car wasn't good enough, and it was just such a strange thing. You had a car that was dominant on the tarmac in Corsica 2 years ago with Chris Meek in 7 or 8 stages. A car which then won again on tarmac with Sebastian Loeb last year, which went to Germany this year on tarmac and was a dog. How does that happen? How does that happen? And that is the dilemma Citroen were in. You know, they would fix certain elements, they would then have negative impacts on other elements of the car. It seemed impossible to get a good balance of performance in that car. And that's what you're always looking for. A good balance of performance, and then you push in terms of the speed. But the balance of performance has to be there to start off with. It was never there with the Citroen. More than anything, that is why they left. And it's a sad day, because Citroen have contributed so much to the WRC over the years. The glory days of Loeb, of Elena, of those world titles that they won. No one that was there will ever forget it. You know, it really was quite remarkable. And, you know, we have to remember that. You know, in all of the annoyance and all of the upset at the Citroen announcement, what we have to remember is they have been remarkable partners to the WRC over the years. When we were really struggling, when the championship was struggling, and when there was just M Sport, Ford and Citroen, Citroen remained and Citroen backed the championship. Now, does this mean, Citroen pulling out, that the championship is in crisis? Is it a reflection on the championship? Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. Championship is still in a very strong position. Championship has, next year, possibly the best calendar it's ever had. We have young drivers coming through, and we have opportunities, less now, opportunities for young drivers. We have more countries interested in joining the WRC. We have more people watching the WRC. We have more interest in the WRC than there has ever been in recent decades. And that is a good thing. It can get better, and it will get better. Because the WRC, as I've said before from the kitchen table, is the perfect proving ground for new technologies. And when we talk new technologies, we talk hybrids, we talk electrification. If it goes to electrification, it may be hydrogen. I don't know electrification, I'm not sure about. But what manufacturers need to see are clear, firm rules in terms of the design of the new generation World Rally car. There must be no procrastination, there must be no ambiguity. There must be a clear path set out for the WRC, certainly to go hybrid, and those have got to be, the rules have got to be announced soon, and they will be by all accounts. But then beyond hybrid, where are we going? Where are we taking it? If we get those regulations right, and Mr. Adamo said this when he came and cooked for me at the kitchen table, if we get those right, manufacturers will flock to the WRC, and I genuinely mean that. The days of 7 or 8, 9 manufacturers could return. So, back to my point. Is Citroen leaving a reflection on the WRC? Not at all. Not at all. We just have to make sure we get those rules right, the FIA do, get the rules right, they get them out expediently, and the manufacturers will look, they will consider, they will see the value, and we will have more seats in the WRC. Fingers crossed. It's going to be great. So, as I say, folks, I'm here, Dutton Garage. What a place. There's a gentleman here. So what is this car, sir, that you're sitting in and taking pictures of? What is that, a Ferrari what? 512 BB. Doesn't mean a lot to me, but it looks beautiful, that's for sure. What a place to do a kitchen table from. Thank you very much as always for watching. As always, if you're watching on Facebook, don't forget to share. That would be great. Press the like button as well. If you're watching on YouTube, you like it, you subscribe to my channel, and if you want, share the link as well. That would be really useful. So where am I off to next? Well, I'm off to the Alpine Rally in East Gippsland this weekend, the 4th oldest motorsport event in the world. I might well talk to you from there, but if not, we'll talk to you very soon. Thank you very much for joining me at Dutton Garage here in Richmond in Melbourne.